right. So in the very long lecture that I gave you, I covered a lot of what I'm looking for in this particular project. And I will open it up again to whether or not you want to choose to do an essay or a PowerPoint. Choose one where you feel you're going to be able to give um, as much as you feel is necessary to show me what you learned and how it applies to the film. So I know you would probably like me to be more like on that, but it's hard because if you're like me, sometimes I'm going to be honest with you. Like, yeah, I know it's a writing class. We do a lot of reading. I'm trying to make it a little bit more like, yay, this is fun, instead of, oh my God, if I have to write one more essay, I'm going to punch myself. Or you might be like, oh my God, if I have to do one more PowerPoint, I'm going to punch myself. So I don't know which side is for you. So I'm trying to leave it a little bit open to kind of give you some kind of, I guess, what's the word, power here, right? To kind of just show me how you understand these films in the easiest way possible. That's the goal here. All right, as I've already said before in the long ass lecture before, I'm going to try and cover this as quickly as possible. In the last lecture, I pretty much gave you a lot of answers to some of these things, but I'm going to try and walk you through again. For when you pick a film, I give you the films to choose: The Holdover, Chicago, Rushmore, Asteroid City, Darjeeling Limited, Life Aquatic, Moonrise Kingdom, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moulin Rouge, and Red Shoes. If for some reason you are not able to find these in some way, let me know. The reason why I choose these very abstract films is because, to be honest with you, all the big ones have been analyzed to death, right? All the big ones have been talked about, and you just, Google the answer. And that's not what I want from you. I want you to watch these and kind of try and find what you see in the film. You're the audience. You're the audience. What are you seeing? I'm not here to say that's a wrong read on this. I mean, obviously, if you're talking about snowmen and you're referring to Asteroid City, I'd be like, it's in the desert. Why are you talking about snowmen? Like, I mean, I'm going to question some things if they seem a little bit bizarro, maybe, or like a very strange read. I'll ask some questions. But the goal here is for you to utilize the parts that we've talked about of film, and you show me where you see that within the film you chose to watch. So, elements of the film are always going to be the first. For the narrator structure, I want you to cover Act 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And remember when we talked about the acts, we talk about Act 1, we're setting the scene. Act 2, we've got conflict. Act 3, we're coming over here and we've got this resolution. The conflict and the climax are going to be pretty much the same as Act 2. Here's the thing. Within the movie that you choose, you might see some subplots in here. If there are subplots, tell me where they're at. Show me what they're at. What are they doing here? What's the intent behind these subplots, these little pieces that might bring us to this, climax and conclusion? I don't know. You got to tell me what you see within the film. Again, oftentimes it is going to be Act 1 where we're introducing the characters, the setting, the conflict. Tell me in detail what this first act looks like. Okay. And then Act 2, where's the conflict? Where's the rising action? In Darjeeling Limited, we're talking about the brothers, right? There's a lot going on in Darjeeling Limited. Fantastic freaking movie. There's a whole lot of things. There's a lot of little subplots that change the characters as they move along. What are you seeing within that film, right? Where's that climax? What happens here, right? When they go to see their mother, that's the whole intent, right? What happens there and what's that resolution? What does that look like? Again, the subplot, what's beautiful about Darjeeling Limited is it bounces back and forth between present and past. Are those subplots, are those things that help get us to where we need to go? You gotta tell me. The rising action for Darjeeling Limited is going to be here, even though there's past experiences, those are still conflicts within it. So I'm just going to kind of give you a hint here. Those past scenes, when they go back and forth, it's all right here. Okay. Once you have introduced, like, again, show me what Act 1 is. How are we understanding what the setup of the characters, the setting, and the conflict? Holdovers, does a great job in the very beginning before we even get to the conflict. We already kind of have a little bit of an idea of the conflict. How are we seeing that within that first, we say act one, in the beginning introduction of, the movie. Act two, what's your rising action? What are the things in between? And then how does it get resolved in act three? Help me understand what the storyline is or the narrative. And then, again, any subplots. For the characters, I would like you to, the best of your ability, even if you need to do a little IMDb Googling, who are your characters? Who are your central characters? Who's our protagonists, our antagonists? Who are they? And so what you might have to do if you're going to do a PowerPoint, for each character, they're probably going to have their own slide. Okay? They're going to have their own slide if you do either Canva or PowerPoint, however you want to do that. And then I want you to, in that part, show me maybe some dialogue or action or relationships. Like how do we know who this character is? What is showing us how we know who this character is, right? What are the actions? What are they saying or doing? What kind of relationships do they have with the other characters? I want you to show me somehow, or if you're putting it in an essay, I need you to connect these characters. If you can highlight the names of the characters to show me this is so and so and this is so and so that way I can kind of like, okay, I see how they all relate. I want you to show me each individual character, show me their actions, maybe some dialogue or something that shows a character change. Maybe you show their dialogue in the first part of the movie versus their dialogue in the second part. What two pieces might be standing out that show the character change? Most specifically in the main characters, but what are you seeing as a change between them? Asteroid City, one of the main characters, the dad. I mean, you could pull out multiple parts in which who he was initially to who he ended up being in the end of the film. How are his relationships or the relationships within the characters? How do they change? Fantastic Mr. Fox, right? Mr. Fox himself. Who was he before? Who is he at the end? How do we see that in the dialogue, in their actions, in the relationships with the characters around them? I want to see that story arc, kind of with these characters. I don't want to confuse you when I say that. Show me who they were in the beginning to who they are at the end. What kind of actions? What kind of dialogue? Show me these changes. As many characters as you can that matter. You don't have to do Joe Schmo in the back who gets shot. Like the nondescript character in the back. That's not who I'm looking for. I want to see how the main characters are that help get us through that story arc. Okay, so character development is what I'm looking for. Again, for each character, you can do a slide, multiple slides, whatever works best for you. I would also like you to break up into multiple slides or in the essay, however, within this particular order is what I'm looking for. The type of framing that might be used. You can use screenshots if you'd like to show me what the kind of framing is. And again, I want you to show me where there's a close-up. Why did that close-up matter? So you might have, here's your close-up, a slide of the close-up, why that close-up mattered. Here's a medium shot, just like me, why that mattered. And then a long shot, why that mattered. Okay, what are the important parts of these framings? Whether it's with a person, whether it's a scene, maybe it's a feeling you're trying to get from this particular scene. What is that based on those shots? Okay, so you can break those up into slides or just in your essay. I just want to be able to see which is which. For the lighting, again, take a look at the link that I have there to show the different colors of lighting. Asteroid City, notice the lighting is very bright, very summery, very intentional throughout. Okay, if there is a change in lighting, why is there a change in lighting? Why is there a change of the mood? What colors are we seeing? And what is that mood representing? Show me, tell me. Again, when we talk about Chicago, what was that line? He had it coming. Everything's in red. Why is that? What was the intent behind that? You might also think about framing and camera movement when we think of Moulin Rouge. Notice the first half of Moulin Rouge, the speed there versus the speed in the second half. Why is that? What is the intent behind the pacing in either one? Okay, I want you to kind of break that down. Especially when we think about camera movement, In Moulin Rouge, the part where they're in the elephant and there's like all kinds of stuff going on, da da da. It's chaotic in here and then, right? And it's almost bonkers. You're like, what is even happening right now? Why do we have that dynamic energy there versus what happens in the second half of the film? And how does it show us it's slowing down? Are there colors? Is there pacing? What are you seeing in those two halves? Again, cinematography is the art of the storytelling. How is the cinematography in these movies telling a story? What do you see? You tell me. Whether it's the angles, whether it's the way it's put together in editing, let me know. Okay, now when we think about the sound design, again, I want you to include where there's maybe dialogue and non-dialogue. So where are you seeing that there might be the non-dialogue added to create a feel? Okay, whether again, if you're at a dining scene and you hear all the utensils going around, it's little tiny things like that I want you to be mindful of and take a look at. And is there one place in particular where you see it and you go, oh, I never noticed that before? The little tiny things, maybe a lawnmower in the back, maybe the sound of a plane going by or a train going by or something, or again, people at a dinner table, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and you hear the clinking of the things, and or maybe the sounds of water rushing. Why? What's the intent of these sounds that are things that you would never notice but create something? What is it creating and why? You tell me. Whether it's, again, maybe even music, sound effects, ambient noise. What kind of music is creating what kind of feeling and what kind of tension? Okay. Again, the diegetic sounds are the ones that are the ones I just talked about. Like you're in a kitchen, you can hear that, but you don't really realize it. It just kind of creates a feel like you're like, oh, I'm in a kitchen, or you're outside, and again, you can hear a lawnmower going by. What are the things that is creating that effect for you? Or the non-diegetic sounds, which is music and voiceover, or a narrative behind that's guiding them through the story. I don't know if I have any of these have narrative. I'd have to rethink about it. Anyway, is there a narrator? Is there a non-diegetic sound that is coming, whether it's music or voiceover or some narrator? You tell me. Don't forget, now that you've done your elements, I want you to go into the themes and the context. Theme and context includes cultural and social commentary. What does this film say about culture or society? Holdovers, obviously, socioeconomic. We have family affair right there. We've got family dynamics, teacher dynamics, social and cultural interactions between a teacher and a student. What are we talking about there? We could talk about, again, Chicago and the women of the time and how they were, it's kind of cute that they murdered their husbands versus the actual act of violence. Like what's the cultural context there? What is it saying about, patriarchy or whatever? You tell me. Rushmore, same thing. You've got your, two different types of schools, and that dynamic of the fact that the main character financially probably shouldn't be at Rushmore, but ends up at another school. How does that? And then academically, that student who partakes in all of the things, but doesn't actually do academics. All right. What's a social context about that, or the fact that that particular main character is always putting on plays. In fact, that's how they got into Rushmore, was because of their plays and their writing, right? There's so much that goes on there. Asteroid City, same thing. We have that 1950s overlying context, and what does that say about the way in which it was filmed and the colors and the personalities and all that stuff. Darjeeling Limited, again, cultural understanding of the Darling Limited train. That train has a very historical, important context to it, and why they take the trip they take. Same thing, Life Aquatic. What's the historical context of undersea voyages and how that is in relation to it. Moonrise Kingdom, that one's kind of a tough one. It's a great movie, but it's up to you on how you feel you want to understand the historical and cultural context of the main characters and that story itself. Is Moonrise Kingdom the one I'm thinking of? Hold up, wait a minute. Forgive me on this one. Yes. Thank you. The cultural and historical context of, I guess, Boy Scouts. It's not Boy Scouts, but you get the general feel that it is a Boy Scoutish type of intention. Like, what's the historical context? How does it play in the role of the characters and their integrity or lack thereof in integrity, and what it means to be a Boy Scout? Again, think about that. Fantastic Mr. Fox, historical context based on the fact that it is written using animals and it is originally a book. How do those two, why does it matter that they put the film in the way they did? What's the historical context of that? And then Moulin Rouge, again, please take a look at the historical context of Moulin Rouge itself, why it's important that they have the film that they created, and the short lifespan of Moulin Rouge, the actual place. And then in Red Shoes, there's a lot going on in that one. Especially as a female trying to choose what they want to do versus the dominance of a male and love. Watch the film, you'll understand. And then her final decision in the film and why that matters historically and culturally in society, right? Take a look and see, are there any political or ideological themes that play within any of these films? What are those? These are not genre themes, so you won't have a genre in these. I just have it in there for you, except the musicals are genre. You could do that. But the other films are not going to be genre based. And again, what are the historical contexts of these films? I know I said that multiple times, but when we talk about cultural and societal, sometimes historical comes within the cultural. Yeah, get it? Okay. I know I talk really fast. You can always rewind this. I'm trying to make it as fast as possible since I gave you an hour worth of lecture last week. So anyway, go ahead and take a look at these, the different types of things that I'm looking for. Again, you are always going to have a source because you are not going to know all the things. If you make a historical context reference, show me where you got that information. If you have a cultural reference, you're going to have to show me where you got that. Any kind of images, please make sure you do cite where you got that, just to show me. Again, you can do screenshots on your own if you want. That's fine. Just let me know you did your own screenshot. Just cite the source, which is the film. So again, make sure you at least cite the film. You can do an IMDb, or I think I have a link in there on how to cite films. If not, message me. I will get it to you. And that's pretty much it. So again, it's open in the sense of, will it work better for you as an essay or as a PowerPoint Canva kind of thing? You tell me. I'm wanting to leave this open for you to show me your understanding of film and the creation of these films in its storytelling and how it uses these elements to tell a story and why it's important that this story is being told. Again, social, historical, cultural aspects that influence the need for the story to be told. Okay? All right. Good luck. Have fun. Let me know if you have any questions.